morning, everybody, and Happy New Year. Welcome to Stories with Ori, and this is my first time in the studio here in 2024. You see this home behind me, folks? That's the home where Benjamin Siegel, a.k.a. Bugsy Siegel, met his demise on June 21st, 1947. Now, don't ask me if I'm the one who did it. I was only 3 years old. But for those of you who have read my book, you will see the people that I knew. I knew Meyer Lansky, I knew Frank Costello, Carlo Marcello, and several others. You had to read my book to see them all. Now, as I told you last night on Chatting with Stacks, my friend Sonny Franchise, and by the way, he was not my best friend. I want to make that clear, okay? And I'll get more into that later. But my friend Sonny, driving around with him in the city of New York, Brooklyn, all the boroughs, okay? Sonny had a habit of driving down the LIE, the Belt Parkway, okay? No matter where we were, and he'd go like this, all right? Put the lid on, point, he did it, and who, point where, he put somebody. Now, this was a tendency that even I had done in my lifetime. Now, this was something, these are motions that old gangsters would do. They would never say anything, but they would give a nod like this or like this during conversations. So what I'm about to tell you is only my take on what happened to Bugsy Siegel. A lot of people got different theories of what happened. But let's take the most sensible one. Okay? On June 21st, 1947, at 810 North Linden Drive, a gunman on the trellis of Bugsy's house had a .30 caliber 14 feet away from him. 14 feet. 9 rounds were fired. One of them hitting Bugsy in the nose and taking out his left eye. Alan Smiley was sitting on the couch with him, and he just had a bullet go through his sport coat or something like that there, okay? Because they weren't out to kill Mr. Smiley. This was a well-planned, executed hit. Extremely well-planned, thought out for a long time. Where does anybody get the permission to whack somebody like Benjamin Siegel? It's not somebody just popping out of the woods, all right, and saying, hey, he treated Virginia Hill badly. No, that's not going to happen, folks. What you always have to do in any deal is always follow the money. And where was his money coming from? It was coming from New York. Now, was this just a purely mafia hit or from La Cosa Nostra? No. You got to know the politics, the rules, the regulations of La Cosa Nostra. Now, I don't know them all as well as Sammy Gravano does. Sammy really knows the rules and regulations. And Sammy knows what time, how to prepare, and how to whack somebody. So it's not something you just wake up and say, I'm going to do it. Okay, you got to plan it. The decision was made in Havana, Cuba. My theory, 1946. They had two meetings, all right, where people met in Havana, Cuba to meet Lucky Luciano. He was the boss, but he was deported to Italy. So he would have his meetings in Havana, Cuba. Who was at that meeting? Frank Costello. Oh, did I know Frank Costello? Read my book to find out. Okay? Who else? Meyer Lansky. Now, La Cosa Nostra could not put a hit on Benjamin Siegel without the approval of the syndicate. Who was the syndicate? Who was the head of the syndicate at that time? Meyer Lansky. You have any idea how many times I've spoken with Meyer Lansky at the Warwick Hotel and on the streets when I walked with him, walking his dog? This is as much as I'm going to tell you folks, okay? But it had to be approved by both. Meyer had to approve it, and Lucky and Frank had to approve it. And that's my theory. I could be wrong. I was only 3 years old when it happened. But, you know, think about that theory. Who was the shooter? His name was Frankie Carbo. Look up, check out who Frankie Carbo was. Now, neighbors say they heard two cars screeching away after the shots were fired. Why two cars? Because this was the syndicate and La Cosa Nostra. So it had to be witnessed by the syndicate. So the other driver, my theory, was a Jewish guy who had to witness the assassination or the whacking of Benjamin Siegel. There you have it, folks. Okay? Check it out. Read my book, The Accidental Gangster. Get more information.